Bianca, why have you come this year? I understand you're particularly interested in the role women can play.
Well, I came today in my capacity as founder and chair of the Bianca Jagger Human Rights Foundation, and I was invited to speak at two high-level panels this morning. It was a very interesting panel with very inspiring women, because today, as you know, is Gender Day, and I'm very pleased that the UNFCCC has decided to have a more inclusion climate talks, where women play a more important and who are more present in the negotiations, hopefully, that will take place here at COP19 and from now on.
Why do you think it's so important to involve women? We've obviously only got a limited amount of cash, and should we be spending it on gender politics when we could be spending it on helping people?
Well, I mean, on Thursday I will be speaking in London and delivering the Longford talk, and I will be speaking about the fact that we need to end violence against women and girls, to put an end to a culture of impunity, and particularly calling on world leaders to include ending violence against women as one of the Millennium Development Goals, because when they sat on the year 2000, they forgot to include what is called as the missing target by the UN Women. They forgot to include ending violence against women. Why should women be here? Women should be here because climate change is the biggest threat we are facing, because climate change affects more women than it affects men, because women have played a very important role when it comes to agriculture and sustainable development. Why it is important that women be included and that women be here is because we will not be able to achieve a sustainable future without the participation, without the skill, without the knowledge of women. And so I feel that this is a forum when women should be included. Women, in fact, should be included at all levels and all levels of discussions in the world. It is unconscionable that in the 21st century, women continue to be discriminated, that women continue to be victims of violence, of rape, and of domestic violence. And for that reason, I felt that it was important. This afternoon, I will be. It's all to do with our visions in both of the panels that I will be speaking. This morning was the visions of women. This afternoon in the adaptation panel, I will be speaking about my vision for the future, which is a future that includes women, indigenous tribes, communities, restoration of the land, and I will be calling for us to embark upon a renewable energy revolution, to move away from our fossil fuel economy, to move away from our obsession with growth and with profit, and to as well to reform our model of development and have a model of development that includes respect for human rights, good governance, and respect for the rights of indigenous and tribal people as well as communities.
So if women around the world, things would be a whole lot better. Can I ask you about the talks? You've followed them for quite a few years. What's your sense this year? Do you feel there is a sense of anger and frustration at the meeting?
There is a profound anger and frustration, and the best example is the representative from the Philippines who made an impassioned and moving speech telling world leaders and representatives from throughout the world that time is running out and that we need to do what is necessary to to prevent climate change catastrophe. The problem that we have is that we have a kind of a parallel negotiation. In the one hand, those of us who are aware that what the scientists are telling us is that it will be very, very difficult if we continue in the path that we are today to keep CO2 emissions under 2 degrees centigrade. And the negotiations, they continue to pretend that what they're doing, the little that they're doing, will really keep the temperature under 2 degrees centigrade. And what is evident is that this year we already reached 400 parts per million. And how can we really adapt when we already have those numbers? How can we keep it under 2 degrees centigrade? The rising, you have rising sea levels, you have more and more natural disasters. We see that climate change, that we have very, very unpredictable extreme weathers, so and then you have as well the anger that is coming from the developing world, that feels that the developed world is not doing enough to reduce the CO2 emission, is not doing enough to come forward with the fundings that they need to do mitigation and adaptation, that they are not doing enough to be preparing the funding to compensate countries who will be the first to be the victim, such in the case of the Philippines, but as well the island nations that, because of the ocean rising, will be some of the first that will suffer.
And how are you feeling about 2015? That's the deadline for a global deal. We've got Peru next year. Do you think that the world could get a global deal on cutting emissions?
I don't. I'm very skeptical about that. But what I'm saying in both of my in my contributions in these speeches is that we have 2 options. One option is to say we give up everything because world leaders are going to let us down, and they have abdicated their responsibility with regards to a legally binding treaty that will really answer the requirements that the science tell us how much we need to reduce. Or we become in power and we decide we need to embark upon a non-violence revolution, that we need to say we need to move away from our fossil fuel economy, that we need to replace fossil fuel, coal and nuclear with renewable energy and embark upon a renewable energy revolution, that we need to change our way of life. And that means the way we travel, the way we eat, the way we consume, the way we produce. It means that we will need to empower women so that women will play an important role in doing what is necessary. We will need to support initiatives like the Plant Pledge initiative, which intends to a restoration of 150 million hectares of land, and other initiatives. I mean, we need to take play an active role. Well, by that I mean indigenous peoples, communities, women, NGOs, grassroots organizations, people at large. We need to say we're going to do everything that is necessary to prevent catastrophic climate change. If we continue to rely upon world leaders, we will be let down. They are not ready to do what is necessary to prevent catastrophic climate change.